Welcome to the EHS radio show on Siemens.fm. I am your host, David Walker. Thank you. Thank you very much. Very kind of you, and I do appreciate your support more than words can express. On episode 20 of the EHS radio show, I want to talk a little bit about how I got to where I'm at today within Siemens. I want to tell you what drives me. What were the things that really opened my eyes and made me realize that I was doing what I was meant to do? Who shaped my career and how they shaped my career? And I want to give some advice to some of our new professionals and some of our professionals that have been in the field for a while about what I believe are key things to keep in mind all the time. Before I talk about me, I want to give a special thanks to Carrie Payne in our communications department. I approached Carrie quite a while back about the idea of doing a podcast. She's the one that did some research. She showed me where it was available within Siemens to post it. She also came up with the name of the show, and I am forever grateful to Carrie for that. She's a great support and a trusted partner in my opinion. Thank you, Carrie. Me. I started with Siemens in November of 1997. I came to Siemens with a bachelor's degree in wildlife conservation with a minor in biology. Started in a little plant up in Marietta, Oklahoma, and knew about safety. Did my own safety in a previous life. Did my own workers' compensation. Was able to go 7 years without one workers' compensation claim or one employee injury. And I employed at the time anywhere from 7 to 35 people, depending on the time of the year. It was a seasonal type business. But when I came to Siemens, I came to the airport baggage operations business. That little plant in Marietta is where it started. It's still there today. It's owned by one of the tribes up in Oklahoma. It was here where I met probably my first real mentor with regard to the environmental health and safety profession. And her name was Bonnie Jenga. At the time, we were a company that was owned by Rapistan that Siemens came in and bought. But Bonnie Jenga was a person that lived and breathed and practiced what she preached, and she loved helping people. She taught me the value of knowing my profession, but she also taught me the value of people. She taught me how to respect people. She taught me why she liked people, and she was a genuine influence in my life. Probably my first big mentor, and I get a chance every now and then to reach out to her, and I do appreciate her and thank her so much for what she did for me. I transferred from Marietta, Oklahoma to the DFW airport facility, which later became known as Siemens Postal Automation and Airport Logistics. That was a great time in my career. It was a really learning and time that challenged me a lot. One particular thing I remember about that, I had a plant manager at the time that was pretty rough on me. And that's back when safety was the safety cops. This plant manager was wise beyond his years, I came to find out later. Everything I did, everything I pointed out, I had to prove to him that it was really a violation. What it did before the internet, before ebooks, before tablets, it forced me to read the OSHA manuals. And I actually read most of them. Believe it or not, when I looked something up, I had to look it up by hand. But I learned the regs, and I learned the rules, and I learned how they applied, and I learned the interpretations, and I learned what it didn't mean, and I learned how people misinterpreted. It was a great learning event, and Virgil Wilson, no longer with us on this earth, but was a great teacher in my opinion, and I value that time I got to spend with him. He wasn't a safety person. In fact, he was one of those people that probably looked at safety as a necessary evil, but he taught me a lot. Worked with a lot of people in my early career, and he is one of the ones that I remember the most. After the airport baggage operations job, of which I got to work at the factory and in the field, we did a lot of airport installations, we did a lot of warehouse installations, we did a lot of greenfield, brownfield. Is really where I cut my teeth. I was able to move into what was known as the Mobility and Logistics Division. That time answered to a senior VP, and I learned a lot there too. I learned how to communicate with the executive staff. I learned what was important and what wasn't. That was a pretty good deal for me, and it kind of catapulted my career as I was able to apply for and pick to lead as the EHS business partner for the back then Building Technologies business. Building Technologies was big and still is big. Had a lot of people, a lot of different challenges, a lot of different personalities. And I think some of my greatest achievements, but also some of my biggest failures happened in the building technologies group. I was unable to crack the inner circle and be respected and accepted and be able to reach out and have the relationships that I feel like any EHS senior professional has to be able to do. I just never could do it in BT. That's all since changed. Ray McCleary has stepped in and done a wonderful job, had a different set of management, but he's carried that out very well, and I'm very proud and envious of him that he was able to do it. That was another good learning point in my career. After building technologies, I got a chance to interview and was chosen to lead process industries and drives, which at that time was led by Ann Cooney and Doug Keith. That was really fun. They were great supporters and still are of environmental health and safety, but mostly safety of their people. They believed it. And I was able to gain their trust and prove credibility and was able to really get a lot of things done. We showed some great strides. We went a long time without any accidents. And we also did a lot of work in the factories within that organization that were really high-risk environments at the time. And some of them still are, but a lot of them have changed. And I'm maybe a little proud to say that I was maybe a little bit of that change. Hopefully a whole lot of that change. Incidentally, that is the time in my career, my personal career, that I began and finished my graduate program, and I now have a master's degree in safety, security, and emergency management. I was also able at the time to take on the digital factory division. So I was at one time, I led 2 operating companies, Process Industries and Drives and Digital Factory. And as Siemens always does, I tell people, if you're not really happy, or if you're just a little bit concerned, or you're just a little bit frustrated, hang on. Siemens reorganizes every couple of years, and sure enough they did. By April of 2019, that whole thing had morphed into Digital Industries. And as today, I am the EHS head of Digital Industries in the United States and answer directly to everybody in Digital Industries. But the person I work with is Raj Batra. And Raj has been extremely instrumental in my development with respect to giving me the freedom and providing the guidance of where we need to go and how to stay within the beacons and how to stay within the lanes while all the time driving, building, nurturing, and cultivating this culture that I think we've done a really good job with. My advice to a lot of our people that are starting out: don't get frustrated, hang in there, be wise, don't put all your eggs in one basket, stay driven, do everything you can, learn, meet, don't burn any bridges, because you never know what goes around comes around. So that in a nutshell tells about where I started to today. I am proud to say I'm the EHS lead, informally known as director of EHS for Digital Industries in the United States. What really drives me, what really woke me up, what really motivated me, there are a couple things in my career that turned me really outward to profess, to lead, to believe, to make it my lifelong goal. And one of the things was early in my career, we had a contractor at our Marietta factory. They were putting a new roof on the building. Nice day, and one of the contractors fell through the roof. And he fell 20 feet or better onto a concrete floor, hit his head on a sawhorse that was made of steel. The outcome was not good. When they came and got me, by the time I got to him, he had very, very shallow breathing, had a hole in the back of his head the size you could put your fist in. And he didn't make it. And I can still, to this day, I promise you to this day, I can take you back to that very spot where that happened. You never forget that. And I remember as I went back to my office, shut the door, kind of melted down, but thought, that guy's not going home to his family. And I remember telling myself, that didn't have to happen. What could I have done differently? What should I have done differently? Could I have helped? Could I have made a difference? And I could have. I really think I could have. I was a little younger and more naive in my career at the time. I was more the safety cop, and I didn't really do my job as a safety cop that day, because if I had, I would have gone out and observed what they were doing, and I would have stopped their operation. Never forgot that. I've never, ever in my life forgotten that, and it always drives me to do better, to know there always is something I can do. Another thing that happened to me early on was I have two sons. One of them was injured in a motorcycle accident when he was 20 years old and had a traumatic brain injury as a result of that. Major stroke. He's a great story. I'm not asking you to feel sorry for me. But that really opened my eyes to people, because all of a sudden I was able to witness how people treated and viewed him. And I was able to be a vessel about how they treated me, about how everybody wanted to tell you how they would have reacted, or what they would have done, or how it affected them, or I can surely imagine how you're feeling, but you know what, they can't. So it taught me to respect people and don't put myself in a position where I think I know what they're thinking, or I'm pretty sure I understand what they're feeling, because you know what, you probably don't. It taught me how to respect people more, and it taught me how to respect people with disabilities or perceived disabilities, or people you may not even know have disabilities. So before you judge people, you got to really sit back and think about what's going on, and don't stereotype. It was a great lesson to me, and I still live it today, and I still carry it in my heart, and I don't judge people. I don't make assumptions, and that was one of the things that really opened my eyes to that, I guess. Moving forward, what piece of advice could I give a young safety professional, or even someone that's been in the field a while? I live by the motto that I treat people the way that I want to be treated. Simple. I'll treat you just as nice as you let me, but I always try my hardest to treat people the way that I want to be treated. Another very, very instrumental and critical part of my career came with my greatest mentor that I've had. His name was Rick Ramirez. Rick was the vice president of EHS for Siemens. He is the person that gave me the chance. He's the person that talked to me, that worked with me, that took my credentials, listened to my opinions, taught me gave me his views, worked with me. But I credit my career, the guy that gave me the opportunity, to Rick Ramirez. He's the greatest mentor that I've had, and I still to this day admire him. And I made a promise to Rick when he retired that I would try to carry on his legacy. And I think I've done that. I've been able to help a couple people advance their careers, all because of what I promised Rick, all because of what Rick did for me. And I've learned over my career, and I still struggle at it sometimes, and people will remind me of it, and I'm okay with it. I've learned to try to listen more. You know the old adage, you have 2 ears and 1 mouth? Well, that's true for me. I try hard to listen more. Sometimes I fail at it. But I think the times that I succeed at that, I see great rewards. So I try to listen. I try to understand people's sides. And I don't give up when they need help. I try to find a way to make their work environment safer. Another motto that I live by, you're going to laugh and you're going to think, well, how simple is that? But if it looks like it, and it smells like it, and it tastes like it, that's probably what it is. Don't try to read a lot more into what the situation is. Sometimes take it for what the face value is. Not judging people, not stereotyping, but really look at what it is. My father-in-law was one of my greatest friends, and he taught me, keep it simple. Put it in the simplest form. And I have to do that a lot. Sometimes it gets complex. Sometimes it ends up getting all kittywampus and out of whack, but I always try to put it back in the simplest form for me to understand it. And when I can do that, then I can usually take the next step and try to resolve the issue or find an answer. And so the other thing I would like to give advice to young workers in the profession and people that have been there for a while is to get yourself a network. People you can trust, people you can bounce ideas off of, people who are brave enough to tell you the truth when something just isn't very good. And it was the second half of my career when I finally was able to build this network of people I trust. People like Ron Ostrowski. Years of knowledge. Scott Kinderman. What a professional. Ed Booth. Younger in his career, far enough along that he has really good ideas. A great guy to bounce things off of. And along with Carol Higdon, who's become a part of that also. Pretty honest, pretty fair feedback. Get yourself a network of people that you confide in, that you trust, and it'll be something that'll pay back huge dividends. So that's it. That's some simple words from me. That's how I got to where I'm at. That's why I believe what I believe. Incidentally, a lot of the thanks goes to my wife. I've been married since 1984 to the same woman. 2 beautiful kids, grown. But that relationship is one of the things that keeps me going. When I travel a lot or when I'm not there at home a lot, she's a great foundation. And that's key, I think, to a lot of my, what I call great success with this great company that I work for. So folks, that will do it. I certainly hope you've enjoyed this episode 20 of the EHS radio show on Siemens FM. If you have not already, I do ask that you give me feedback. david.w.walker@siemens.com is where you have to send it. I read it. I enjoy hearing from you. If you haven't subscribed already, please do. And please ask your friends to subscribe. Be kind to everyone. For heaven's sake. Be safe.